Hi, I'm Nicki Bowman. I'm a leadership consultant, speaker, and author. My work is really founded in the belief that psychological safety is the key to successful leadership. And today's focus is on the role of psychologically safe leadership in a virtual world. I've always believed that psychologically safe employees are employees who are resilient, collaborative, innovative, and creative. And that's what founds both personal performance and the performance of an entire organisation. Safety has never been more of a key word than in the environment we find ourselves in now. We are all feeling unsafe. We feel unsafe out in our communities. We feel that it's unsafe to go into our workplaces or even to travel there on public transport. And there's so much uncertainty around the economy that lack of safety also translates to feeling unsafe about our job, about our organisation, and about the broader corporate infrastructure that we inhabit. So why is this so important? Why do we as leaders need to work harder than ever to bring our people back to a place of psychological safety? The issue is this: we still work on our primitive lizard brain, and that brain delivers some really great chemicals that allow us to do the collaboration, the innovation, to want to achieve, to want to help other people. These are things like oxytocin, dopamine, and endorphins. When they're circulating brilliantly in our brain, we're on fire and we're operating at our peak. The problem is this: when we're unsafe, those things stop working because cortisol rushes to our brain and squashes the impact of what we like to call the good chemicals. Now, cortisol's great if you're in an immediate emergency, but it's not great when you're in a perpetual state of feeling unsafe. So that's why the work that I do with leaders is all about giving them the tools and the skills to be able to create that sense of safety. In the crisis that we're currently experiencing, what we want most of all is to feel comforted, to feel safe, to get together, to pat each other on the back, to provide the huddles that we used in business crises of the past. We've been deprived of that, and we've been shifted onto these virtual platforms. And the other thing is, it's pretty clear that that's here to stay. People have been forced to embrace these new technologies, just like this conference that we're attending. A number of companies have already announced that work from home can be done by anyone forever. Take Atlassian, for example. So this new style of leadership, a leadership that understands the peculiarities of the virtual world and what we need to do to grapple with them, that kind of leadership is here to stay. Now, in 20 years of working as a leader, I've developed a framework. It's 7 parts to the framework. It's called the Lead with Safe framework. And that's the basis of the leadership skills and philosophies that you need to be able to keep people safe. I'm going to talk about 3 elements of that framework today, because these are the 3 that are most relevant to keeping our people safe in a virtual world. And the first one is purpose. Now, we hear a lot about purpose. It's a word that's bandied around a lot, especially since Simon Sinek and his very famous talk Start With Why. The context of purpose in a situation where we're disconnected physically and where things are so uncertain and unstable is that it gives us a tether. We're in a world where how we do our job has changed for almost everybody. We're in a world where a lot of companies have had to change what they do. So take, for example, restaurants. Instead of seating you and serving you meals while you're seated there, a number of them have had to swivel very quickly to be able to provide meal packs, to provide takeaway, to provide things that previously they hadn't been called upon to do. Other companies have had to shift even the very heart of their purpose. But what's really important is there needs to be that thing to tether to. You see, the uncertainty of changing how we do and what we do and suddenly being thrust into something new. Once again, here comes the cortisol. There goes the collaboration, the creativity, the innovation. Have you spoken with your people about the purpose of your organization? About the purpose of your team? Have you worked to reconnect them with that purpose or to perhaps connect them to a new purpose? Take Stage Kings, the Australian company, which made sets for theatrical productions. When the live entertainment industry shut down, their business model was shot. That had been their purpose. Their purpose was to provide the backdrop for these amazing shows so that people could enjoy them. They were able to shift that purpose and now produce desks, stand-up desks, computer monitor stands, and all of the things that facilitate and enable us to work in this way. And they've been very clear about that. How clear are you being with your people about your purpose? Have you had a session with them to maybe revisit your purpose, challenge the original purpose of your organization and maybe see if it needs to shift? Or if it doesn't need to shift, are you reconnecting them with purpose? Have a session with them specifically on that. Capture it in your weekly meetings. Talk to them about, well, who's done something this week that they think has really fed our purpose? It's really important that they have that singular, unwavering thing to cling to in a time when everything around them is changing. The second element that I really want to focus on today is boundaries. We have just seen the biggest boundary reset in collective history, I think, in terms of our workplace. Because what's the boundary that's changed? The boundary where you have to be in the office. That's a boundary. That's a really strong boundary that has existed up until a few months ago for most people in the workplace. You have to come into a specific place between this hour and this hour. That's all been blown up in the virtual world. But there are many other boundaries we need to reconsider. For example, when you're in a collaborative space and you can easily drop in and out of each other, it's easy for people to do check-ins with various stages of their projects, yeah? It's easy for people to quickly stick their head into your office or into your cubicle and say, hey, is it all right if I could talk to this person? That can't happen in the same way that it used to. So as leaders, we need to think about what are now the appropriate boundaries on the discretion of our people? What are the boundaries of their working hours, for example? Now that their work and their home are the same thing, does that mean that they should just be on call 24/7? Does it mean that I expect full availability between the hours of 9 and 5 as I would in the office? Or what does it mean? It probably means you have to negotiate those boundaries with each individual because each individual will have different circumstances. The playing field is not level. Boundaries also are important when you talk about finances, yeah? We've all had to reshape our budgets, we've all had to change our business plans, and all of those boundaries need to be communicated really explicitly and really clearly to our people so they know exactly where they stand and they can proceed with the comfort of knowing that they're within the appropriate bounds of discretion. And the third piece that I want to speak about today is awareness. Now, I've already spoken about the fact that there's no more casual drop-in. There's no more suddenly bumping into someone at the water cooler or sticking our head in the office or going out for a casual lunch on an impromptu basis. So as leaders, we have to set up a new mechanism of maintaining that connection with our people. And we need to do it both collectively with the team and also individually. We've talked about the fact that the playing field isn't level. Some people have a fantastic home office with the full setup and all the tech. Some people have got a corner of the kitchen table with a 10-year-old laptop. As leaders, it's incumbent upon us to make ourselves aware of those points of difference, to retain a connection with our team on both a formal and informal basis. So all of the meetings that we organise have to have really explicit agendas. You know, I've spoken with some companies who insisted on meeting with the team every day for 1 hour. But there was no clear agenda for that meeting. So it became something of a sob session or a general download. And people came away from it actually feeling frustrated, feeling like they weren't safer. They were actually now knowing even less what they were meant to be doing. So set up those structured meetings, but also allow time for the unstructured catch-up. Maybe have a collective Zoom lunch or a collective Zoom drinks. It's really important now more than ever that if you're not physically close to someone, they still feel that you know everything that they need to get their job done effectively. So those are the 3 things that I want to leave you with. Make sure that you connect or reconnect your team with purpose. Ensure that they're really clear about what the new boundaries in the virtual world are, and find ways to maintain that awareness of what your team is up to. If we can work with those elements, we keep our team psychologically safe and we deliver the optimal performance that we're looking for. Thank you.